Please just tell us about who you are.
So I'm a GP in Taupo, New Zealand, but my passion is using low carbohydrate, healthy fat diets and ketogenic diets to cure chronic disease.
Righto. And what's your title as a doctor? Like, you just a GP or you?
So I'm a GP in the States, you'd call that a family medicine doctor, but also involved in lifestyle medicine.
Okay. And you work with other physicians as well? Because, I mean, you're down here on meetings and you're always having meetings around the world and stuff. What's all that about?
Yeah, so I work in a group practice, so that's how I can be down here with you. There's other doctors at home seeing my patients.
Okay.
And yeah, the lifestyle medicine, that's the Australasian Society of Lifestyle Medicine, so I'm a board member for that society.
Righto. Cool. Oh, we'll kick into it.
But when you're out of Eyesight, I start telling some stories about when we were flatting.
Yeah, I'll let you carry on, and that's interesting.
So now that he's gone, let's have a few talks about what we did all those years ago. No, okay. So I'm going to talk about intermittent fasting. So when we talk about the ketogenic diet, it's called a fast mimicking diet. Okay, so fasting is really the best thing that you can do for your health. And when I started thinking about fasting, it just seemed weird. You know, I don't think I'd ever missed a meal in my life, and the longest I've ever fasted for was 24 hours. So when you're in ketosis, you're teaching your body to burn your own stored fat, and we all have quite a lot of that. Well, most of us do. Damos doesn't, he's looking really lean. But you know, if you think 1 kilogram of stored fat is 9,000 calories, and you might be eating, say, 3,000 calories a day. So you've got 3 days, a kilogram of stored fat is 3 days worth of stored food. Okay, so you don't have to eat all the time. And to eat once a day, I think that's absolutely perfect, because you're using your own stored fat, you're not getting hungry. Or you're not getting as hungry, so it's easier. So yeah, that statement, you still do feel hungry, but hunger kind of comes in waves, doesn't it? And if it's a bit like that urge to have a pee, it comes, and then you can go sort of say, okay, I can't go right now, and then that urge sort of dissipates for a little while, and then it comes back. That's what happens with hunger. It's this feeling, and you feel it, and then it kind of dissipates. You can carry on and do your stuff.
I'll interrupt there a little bit. What you're saying is correct, but once you get into 1 meal a day, what happens is your body reprograms, because what makes you hungry is we produce ghrelin, is that how you say it? Ghrelin.
Yeah.
So
leptin,
which makes us, it's breakfast time, like this morning. You wake up and I'm hungry because that's released, but when you get into 1 meal a day, that changes eventually, and you don't actually get hungry till around that time.
Yeah.
So it doesn't take very long either. So I don't get hungry, but if I do, I'll just cut up some avocado or something high fat, so it still keeps me in a sort of in a fasting state, or tricks my body to being things in a fasting state, and I get the benefits of fasting. Can you talk about the benefits of fasting?
So there's 2 cool words. So autophagy.
Autophagy, to eat yourself.
And apoptosis, and they're the same but slightly different. So apoptosis is replacing a cell that is either damaged or has got old, and this will blow you away. So 40 to 70 billion cells are replaced every day.
Whoa!
So 40 to 70 billion cells are replaced, so they are removed. Okay.
Whoa!
And then there's another process that goes on called autophagy. So when you see the word written, it looks like autophagy. It's pronounced autophagy. Okay, and that's replacing damaged cell components. Right. So I use the analogy, let's say you're a company, you own a fleet of vehicles. Okay, about every 3 years you can replace every vehicle in that fleet.
Right.
Aren't you? At say 100,000 Ks, you replace every vehicle. That's your autophagy. But during that 3 years, one of those vehicles might need a component replaced. Right, a tyre, for example. Okay, and that's autophagy. Okay, replacing the damaged components, and that's what our body does all the time. And that's where we kind of lead on to this concept of cancer. All the time, apparently, we're forming cancer cells, and all the time the body recognises them and and gets rid of them by this process of
Right.
autophagy. So the process, that what's gone wrong with cancer is not that we formed the cancer cell in the first place, it's that our body hasn't recognized it as an abnormal cell.
Yeah.
Okay? People are basically eating the whole time they're awake.
Yep.
And now with modern world, we're even reducing the time that we're sleeping, aren't we?
Yeah.
Which creates another problem.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
you know, some people are sleeping now for 6 hours, so they're eating for 18.
Yeah.
You know, crazy. And what you're doing is fantastic. It's perfect. It's extending the period of time that your body is able to get rid of damaged cells.
Right. Good stuff. Hey, thank you for...
That's right. Oh, we're only getting started.
Oh, okay, carry on.
What about omega-3s?
Oh, okay, let's talk about omega-3s.
All right. So, omega-3 and omega-6. Your omega-6 is your inflammatory protein, and your omega-3 is your anti-inflammatory. Okay, we want to have our body in an anti-inflammatory state.
Right.
Okay, our joints get sore when we're inflamed.
Yeah.
Right. You know, our brain doesn't work properly when we're inflamed.
Everything, and all disease really comes from inflammation, doesn't it?
Probably
about
all disease, yeah.
pretty amazing.
Okay, so omega-3, which is high in fish, okay, is that's what you want to be eating more of. Omega-6s, we want to be reducing our consumption.
So where omega-6s come from? Canola oil? The
just
processed
everything, isn't it? Wheat.
Wheat. Yep. Wheat's high.
Yeah. So like, and the problem is, if you look at a grass-fed cow, it has an excellent ratio of omega-3 to omega-6.
Right.
But if you look at one of these grain-fed cows that live in these feedlots, isn't that awful? You know, the feedlots in the United States where you've got these beautiful animals, intelligent animals, and they spend their entire life on a concrete lot, shitting where they're eating.
Yep.
And the whole aim is to keep them alive long enough to get them slaughtered.
Yep.
They're getting antibiotics to keep them alive. It's just a horrible, horrible state. And we're feeding them grain, which is inflammatory. Is it not surprising that the meat is therefore inflammatory? The problem also, when you look at farmed fish, they're getting fed pellets, aren't they? They're not eating in the way that they used to. The omega-3 to omega-6 ratio in a farmed fish is much less beneficial than it is in a wild fish.
Right.
So if you could access wild salmon, or I guess in New Zealand we're talking generally about wild trout, compared with farmed salmon, the omega-6 to 3 ratio is better.
Yeah.
And our grass-fed meat has a very good ratio, whereas what they're eating in the United States, what they can only access this.
But this comes down to population, and there's no other way you could feed the masses. I mean, how else could you feed the masses? We're in a country that's the same land space as, say, Germany. We've got 4 million people. You know, we have this luxury of being able to do this. In a country like America or most other big countries that, you know, there's a population. How do you feed the masses? You couldn't.
This is really where I get distressed, and it's why I'm so grateful we live in New Zealand, because I look at what you're doing. Let's say you go out into the bush and you kill a boar.
Yep.
Okay. First of all, that boar needs to be culled, doesn't it? Because it's doing a lot of damage to our native bush.
We have no natural predation on it in New Zealand because it's an introduced species. So
and if you went there hunting, and you would that would destroy. You know, the population would get out of control if you went culling them. So you're there actually doing the environment a favour to be culling the animal. Then you bring it back and you've got beautiful organic meat, which will have a good omega-3 to omega-6 ratio, and then you're eating it, so you're not buying farmed animals, aren't you? And then you're combining that with your salad greens, you know, and that has a minimal impact on the environment, and a lot of those things you're growing yourself in your own garden, aren't you?
No, I'll just interrupt you there. What's interesting about this is that, you know, having a YouTube channel which does that, my YouTube channel has been put on restricted because the machine the algorithm it runs, it sees as what I'm doing, is unadvertiser friendly. People don't want to see that. It's the brutality of killing that animal, and even if you don't show it being killed, even if you just show the process of how to take the guts out and hang it up, straight away it gets flagged or gets. So we're really being sort of dumbed down from all angles, eh? You can't. What you're talking about, I'm totally with it, but the world doesn't want to know about it. Most people in the city don't want to know the process even of how an animal goes from there to on their plate. They don't want to know about it because it's been Disney-fied, eh? Walt Disney, blame him. It's his fault. Bambi, she's cute. Yeah, we're getting to another field.
But it is, because you do ask you've asked the biggest question, the environment of the world.
Yeah.
And I do struggle with that. I can apply this so easily to New Zealand.
Yeah, but not the rest of the world.
In New Zealand, where you can go and catch a trout, where you can go and catch a snapper, where if you've got the skills and the ability, you can catch a rabbit. We're not going to talk about my rabbit hunting last night.
Oh, that was shocking. Possibly the worst hunter I've met in my life.
Okay, so we're not talking about that. I started with that.
I wanted to bring that up.
No, we're not talking about that. No, but
I want to talk about it.
No, we're not talking about it. So we were talking about much bigger issues, weren't we?
I want to talk about the rabbit hunting.
The environment. Okay, so in New Zealand, I think we could recommend keto very, very easily and strongly because people can grow their own garden. They've got space.
Yep.
They can grow their own garden. You can access grass-fed beef. You can access mutton. You can hopefully go out and hunt or catch your own.
Yep.
It works. When you expand that to other countries, it does look harder, doesn't it? And I don't know the answer. I think in the end, there's too many people.
I agree, man, and I think you hit the nail on the head. It's a horrible thing to say, but we are heading towards extinction as human beings. And what people don't realise is when other animals go around us, as they are drastically disappearing, once they're gone, we're next in part of the chain. So overpopulation, so you're getting a whole different thing away from what we're talking about. But it's actually doom and gloom if the population keeps on doing what it's doing. It's actually not good.
And in the end,
it's not sustainable.
In the end, the population has to get smaller. And that's really the question that nobody is talking about. And all this discussion about the environment, are you hearing anyone saying people are going to have to choose not to have children? Some people, not everyone.
Yeah.
Some people are going to have to choose not to have children, and those who choose to have them are going to have to choose to have less. I can't see any solution. There's no other solution.
Nature may choose it. We're already finding with our bad diet and things, more men being infertile younger, and a lot of things, more plastics and that. So maybe nature will do it, but I want to ask you another question. I want to talk about this. A lot of people that, since I've been on this diet, I'm painful because I'm sharing it with so many people because it has made a difference, and I've become like a born again, whatever, whether it's
and or reformed smokers.
Reformed smokers are a good one, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And so here's a mate of mine, really good mate from school days, and he used to go out in the hills with his son, walk around. He used to go to the west coast, and his hips started to go on him. He had bad inflammation there, so he started taking all the different chemicals or medication, anti-inflammatories and stuff. Didn't really help. He came to stay with me and he had a bit of a gut, and I said, you could get rid of that in 6 weeks on the keto diet, really. So he gave it a really good lash. Not only did he find that all his inflammation and pain disappeared, but also his eyesight got better. So these other little things that started happening, his weight went down became fitter again. He's now back doing what he thought he had to give up. So now he's got better eyesight. Explain that. How can that work?
Yeah, well, a possible explanation is that the lenses of our eyes absorb glucose, which makes them fatter or thinner.
Right.
Because when you absorb glucose, you also absorb water, which expands it.
Right.
That changes the refraction of light.
Okay.
And so it is possible with a steady state of low glucose in his blood that he's not getting those changes to his to the lens of the eye. Possible.
Wow.
But I can give you another example of the anti-inflammatory effect of this diet, and there's probably lots of causes. It could be related to that omega-3, omega-6 ratio, but probably multiple things. But one guy said to me he'd been on a ketogenic diet for 19 days, and he'd gone to his pre-anaesthetic check for a hip replacement, and the surgeon said to him, how's the pain? He said, well, I haven't got any pain. And the surgeon said, well, you still want the surgery? He went, no. That's $25,000.
Are you serious?
$25,000 that was that far away from being spent, that didn't need to be spent because 19 days before he'd changed his diet.
Are you serious?
Yeah. So how much money could you save by all those joint replacements? But all these people with diabetes that are now reversing their diabetes, can I have a Skype?
Yeah, have a Skype, please. Yeah, have a Skype.
42 people in my practice, in my general practice, that have either reversed their type 2 diabetes or their pre-diabetes. So they're off their medicines, and some of those were on insulin. They're off all those medications. So they're no longer heading for dialysis. They're no longer heading for limb amputations. They're no longer heading for blindness. So I don't know how much money just those 42 has saved.
Right.
If there's a health economist, out there, my email is gd@taupomed.co.nz. If you'd like to work with me to work out how much money that has saved, just that intervention alone, I'd love to know, but even that one hip joint replacement, what can we do with $25,000 now? That's some kids that can have, I don't know, something cool.
Yeah, no, it's phenomenal. Did you have you come under any resistance in this? Because you've got the big drug companies, the pharmaceutical companies. Have you come up against any resistance on your journey with what you're doing, or has it been straight ahead?
Really.
That's great.
Which is surprising. Isn't it?
No, it's good. But I think when you got those sort of positive results, who can argue with it? What can you say?
And we need this too. We can't keep spending health dollars in the way that we've been spending it.
Yeah.
And I guess, it's so obvious that with all this tsunami of diabetes, it's only 20 years away that we're going to need all these more dialysis machines and all these more limb amputations. And with each limb amputation, that's a bathroom that's converted, that's ramps up to houses, it's wheelchairs, Well, I don't know, we just can't do it.
No.
We couldn't sustain that.
It's got to change.
It's got to change.
And you're changing it, man. Right.
All right.
Oh, I really enjoyed this talk with Glen.
Well, I haven't finished yet.
Oh, still. Carry on.
Okay, because we've talked about obesity and diabetes particularly.
Yeah.
Okay. What about Parkinson's disease?
Okay.
What about Alzheimer's disease? What about cancer? There's a whole lot of places where the appropriate diet makes a difference.
Really?
So I want to talk about Dr. Matt Phillips. He's at Waikato Hospital.
Yep.
He's done a study on Parkinson's disease. And this is, I think, the first study in the world that's been done on the use of ketogenic diet in Parkinson's disease.
Okay.
And he found that in the non-motor symptoms of Parkinson's disease, there was a 23% improvement in the ketogenic diet compared with the standard diet group.
Right.
So it helps Parkinson's disease.
Wow.
Alzheimer's disease, it helps there.
Yep.
There's a protocol called the Bredesen protocol, and it involves a whole lot of stuff, not just diet. But one of the aspects of it is low carbohydrate, healthy fat diet.
Right.
And Dr. Bredesen has reversed Alzheimer's disease.
Really?
The first person, to my knowledge, in the world that's actually reversed Alzheimer's
I didn't know it
disease.
could be reversed. No.
It can. And diet is a big component of that. And then in cancer, how we're talking about autophagy and apoptosis.
Yep.
Replacing damaged cells that are damaged with cancer.
Yep.
Again, such a good opportunity, and I think the science in cancer is early. But there's a lot of case studies on people, particularly with brain cancers. Right. That have where the cancers have gone.
Right.
So I'm not saying these are big, sophisticated studies. These are case studies, individual people that the only thing they've changed is their diet. And their cancer's resolved. Early science, and needs a whole lot more work. But I anticipate we're going to see a really big role for ketogenic diet in some cancers.
That's interesting. Yeah. Well,
I'm finished now.
You're finished, okay.
No, I haven't really. There's so much more I could say.
You could, yeah. I just gonna
my
say,
head's getting sunburnt. My bald head. Does it cause your head to grow? I mean, your hair to grow back? No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't.
Hey,
it won't cause your hair to grow.
Okay. Well, can we just cut the bald jokes? You can't get afford to do bald jokes.